So I'm recording, ready to go.
Nice. Dude, I didn't know we could do that. I didn't know both of us can record. That's pretty cool.
No, it's badass.
Yeah. Oh, it
Learn
saved
along
me
the way.
a lot of time, dude, when I was doing the podcast stuff, man.
So, hey, Keith, let's start. I want to talk what we were talking about before. Like I brought up the podcast and then you brought up your business. Can we start with that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So again, Keith. So now it's official. Okay. So we
It's a
cut it
fit.
right
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Dude, it's always awkward starting it like, all right,
It
how
is.
do we start this off?
Hey, but Keith, I really gotta thank you for this. I'm really grateful. I s- I told you beforehand I started a podcast in 2020, and I haven't launched anything since until January 2nd of 2025. And it wasn't because I didn't have the technology or I didn't know what I was doing. I knew what I was doing. I could put up a podcast. I just couldn't find anybody.
Yep,
Everybody's too scared to be on there.
yep.
And it was bullshit. Pissed me off. I'm like, I can't even find any guests. It really made me like, it really discouraged me for a little bit. And I took a break off of it. But everyone's too scared to get on camera. Like, I didn't realize how brave I was just to do this right now. And especially the same for you.
Yeah, dude, I never actually really thought about that, but yeah, just doing this, like there's so many people that won't do it. And like I was telling you before, like when me and my buddy, another veteran, we started when we found like weed and started using that instead of the medicines from the VA and stuff. We started like a Facebook group called Boots, and everybody was excited for us. They were like, "This is gonna be so good! Like we can't wait to see what you're putting out." And we're like, "All right, like, would you follow us?" Nope, we didn't get one follower. Like even like family members were like, nah, nah, if my employer sees this, like the people are I think we live in this society that operates off fear. You know what I mean? So because like fear brings in money, it brings in ratings on
Yeah.
TV, it makes us feel inadequate with marketing. So everything that we do is coming from a place of fear, which is just such bullshit, dude.
Everybody in society, they're just living in that mode or like the root chakra, like they're just at the lowest vibration. This is why everybody fucking sucks. And you got something good going on and they won't even support you. That's what it blew my mind. You said follow, not even jump on a podcast. Follow. Oh my God. Stuff like this makes me lose faith in humanity, honestly. No one's checking up on you. No one's watching you like this. This is weird.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like and for me it drives the need for certain people to do this. You know, especially because the people that are a lot of the people that are doing this, like I had a hard time calling myself a life coach for like 2 years. I would not let it come out of my mouth because of all the bullshit that's associated with it. You know, when I first started like on social media, I would see people that would call themselves life coach and they were the most angry fucking people I've ever seen in my life,
Yeah.
dude. You know, they were mean to people, they were like nasty the way they talk to people and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to be associated with that. You know, and especially like coming out of I was in church for like 40 years and there's this common theme where it's like all the good parts are for me, but then I'm just going to judge you and shit on you if you don't like reach the expectations that I think you should have, you know, and I'm like, I am not going to be that person that is do what I say and not what I do. You know,
Yeah.
like this is going to be like me. I don't want there to be a difference between my quote unquote business and my life. I want it to be one thing.
Oh my God. Yeah. I love that. I love that. People don't realize that. People think it's the same thing with their jobs. You know, like they even bring back like the cannabis thing. Wait, you support cannabis, but you don't want your employer to see this. You're living two different lives. I bet you cheat on your wife too. You say you love your wife at home. No, it's the same logic. It's the same logic, man. It drives me crazy because you're probably the same type of person that would say I love you to your wife, and then you go outside of the strip club or whatever you fucking do. No, it's bullshit. You want to be aligned. I agree with that 100%. You want to be congruent. That's how it should be. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't, we're already living a lie as it is with our persona and our ego. Like, that's just what we have to do to get by in the world. Now we made it digitally. We did it with corporation. This is too much. This is too much right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And dude, just imagine, so with all the work that we have been doing, like, I mean, separately, because we just met, well, a few months ago. You know what I
Right.
mean? But like fucking just hit it off like immediately. But all the work that I know you've been doing from talking to you, like the work that I've been doing, like people that are still locked up in that, I feel so fucking bad for them, man. You know what I mean? Because it drives their life. This fear just drives everything about their life. And there's so much freedom. And dude, there's still so much fear that drives my life. And knowing that that's happening makes me so pissed off. You know what I mean? Which does not help the whole situation. You know what
Do
I
you
mean?
really feel bad though? Do you really feel bad?
Yeah, I've gotten to a point where, because I see where it comes from them. You know, because I think it's easy to look at somebody and say, you're making these choices for your life to be this way. And that's 100% true. Sorry, dude.
You're
So
okay.
yeah, that's 100% true. But those choices that they're making have been programmed into them from school, parents, religion, just different experiences they've had in life. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
They think that they have this free will that is making this decision in the moment, but this decision has been made years prior when they went through whatever the hell they went through, that got them to this into this like life of fear, that now when they come up with something so small, it's still that fear drives everything. It still pisses me off,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I do feel like bad for them. You know what I mean? Because I know that they can live at such a higher level.
No, I agree with you completely, actually. I understand exactly what you're saying. Yeah, I do feel bad for a lot of people. It's almost like, I don't know, like a kid's like a little kid that's afraid of the dark. And like, it's irrational, it's like you'll outgrow it. But you see these adults who are like, wow, they haven't outgrown their fears. They're still ch stuck like children, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, like when I grew up, man, like, all right, so I learned how to swim. My uncle just threw me in the pool.
Right.
Like, that was fucking terrifying, dude. Like, but that's what he was known for. Like, I'm just gonna throw you in the pool, like, if you don't come up within a couple of minutes, like someone will come in and get you, like type thing. But you still got to deal with that. And then I was afraid of water for the longest time.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why I love looking at nature and how animals deal with their young compared to
Mhm.
how we deal with our young. And,
Mhm.
and we do it more from like this religious standpoint of using fear to control them, you know. And it comes from a place of love, because of course you don't want them to get hurt or whatever. But I was watching videos of like this silverback gorilla, and this little baby gorilla was just annoying the shit out of the thing. Like, he would just come up behind him and just poke him, and the silverback would turn around and like swipe at him and stuff, and he's like running away. But they were just playing. You know what I mean? And at one point, the silverback was just sitting there, and the little baby gorilla is just crawling all over his head and stuff. So just letting the kid be who he is.
Mhm.
And we've lost that, because like now growing up, you take a fucking toddler, a 2-year old, and you're like, no, and you expect them to be able to like sit back and logically think, okay, well, mom and dad said no, and they told me I'm going to get hurt if I do this. And like their brain doesn't work like that yet. You know what I mean? They can't process all this shit,
Right.
but they will remember the terror of the fear that we use to control the kids.
See, Keith, I like what you're saying because you're talking about nurture right now,
Yeah.
correct? See, like I I don't know. I'm kind of more on nature because personally for me, I try to fit in. I try to go to school. I try to get a job. Like I just can't do it. Like I just kept on failing. Like there was one point, like I mean, like I've had plenty of bosses. I had plenty of people tell me, Enli, you're just a bad worker. You're a bad employee. You're a bad follower. You just can't do this. Like you're not cut out for this. And I really, and again, that caused a lot of fear in me too. I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna be homeless. I can't get a job. I can't live. I'm not gonna get a degree. I'm not gonna do this. This is what I'm saying. I think I was kind of just born like this. I mean, my parents would tell me all the time, like you're just too rebellious. We can't control you. You do whatever what you want to do. So sometimes I'm like, I don't know, like because I'm kind of like, and another example I'll give, like obviously we know Jarrett together, right? And Jared's doing big things. He's doing great things out there. And I use Jared as an example. People try to say something like you can't make money online, you can't do this. I'm like, yo, I got a homie named, I can hit him up. Want me to text him? I can ask him about this. And even if when I do show them proof, they still deny it. I'm like, it's right here. It's right
Yeah.
here. And they make up some bullshit. So I don't know. I mean, this is where the argument comes from. Like, I'm really on nature on this. Like, I really like want to believe it's nurture, but like I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to be set in my ways. I don't want to be closed-minded. You
Yeah.
could see my bias right now, but I don't know because you are right. Like what you brought up with the gorilla, like I have seen nurture in action. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
And I think it's a combination of both nature and nurture.
I mean, it
You
would
know?
have to be at the end of the day, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Because
kind of conclusion on that.
that was the first thing that drew me to you. Like, as soon as we met, I was like, this dude. So you've been called like rebellious, you're not a good worker, you're not a good student, all stuff to like chip away at your confidence, your self-esteem. But dude, you're a disruptor, man. That's who you are naturally. Like you question shit, especially dumb shit, because there is so much stupidity that goes on, especially like in the workplace, dude.
Yeah,
And or even like people that are trying to better themselves and they come to you and like maybe like you as a trainer, like they come to you and they're paying you for your knowledge and you're like, okay, do this, and they're like, no, that's not going to work for me,
hmm,
and they haven't even tried it. You know what I mean? And so yeah, that's the thing I love about you, dude, is you're a disruptor, dude, and we need more people like that aren't
for
afraid
sure.
to stand up, dude. All right, my favorite philosopher, and I don't
Huh.
know much about him.
Okay.
It's this dude named Diogenes, I believe.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
He,
I know what you're talking
You know what
about.
I'm talking about? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And Alexander the Great, when they came in and he conquered that area, and Diogenes was sitting out on the beach, and Alexander the Great rode up on him, and he was like, "Look, I've heard so much about you. I want you as a teacher. Like, let me know what will it take for me to like. I'll pay you. I'll give you whatever you want." And Diogenes just looked at Alexander the Great, and he goes, "Get out of my way. You're blocking the sun." And I'm like, dude, that's what we need in this world, man. You know what I mean? Because there seems to be this awakening that's going on, like where we see that we've been designed to be more cogs in a machine instead of human beings.
Right.
And it's been going on for so long that we think this is just the way it is. But when you look at evolutionary history, I mean, human beings have been around for like 2 million years. So for 2 million years up until 12,000, 11,000 years ago, we lived free. I mean, there was a lot of problems. We were a prey species. There was like conflict and stuff like that. But in this time frame, when you start getting with the like uber rich people, like the Rockefellers, I mean, famously, he said like when he started dumping tons of money into the public school system, he was like, "We need a nation of workers, not a nation of thinkers."
Agreed.
And dude, you're just a fucking thinker, dude. Because
Oh
you
yeah,
look at
absolutely.
you'll look at something and be like, and that's the other thing I love, dude. You have no problem looking at whoever it is, it could be your boss, and be like, yeah, this is just fucking stupid.
I mean, that's what's happening. That's my perception.
Yeah,
And stupid things are happening. But the thing is, like, this is going back to the workplace thing because I really don't have respect for it. I really don't because you're just getting paid off. Like, you're telling me how much money I have to give you to go against your principles.
yeah,
And like, That doesn't sit well with me. I know people are like, I got kids to feed, this and that. Like, I understand that. But like, you understand what I'm saying, Keith, at a certain level? Like, you're telling me I have to pay you this much money to turn back on your values.
Yep.
If I had that much money, I can make you do anything. That kind of worries me because you can't pay me anything. Like, I really mean that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be like Diogenes. The richest man in the world comes up to me. I'll be like, hey, fuck you.
Yeah.
I need my son right now or whatever the fuck I want. You know what I'm saying? Like I really like that's why we all respect Diogenes. But like I lose respect for a lot of these people because they won't go on my podcast because you're willing to lose how much money? And like some of these people are making like 50,000. Like you could find an entry level job anywhere. That you're
Yeah.
really worried about losing that job. And we live in America. Like, I mean, me and you were trying to start online businesses. Like, bro, you don't even need a job. You just jump on your phone.
Yeah.
More ridiculous. Like I understand people, when people bring that stuff up, like I got kids to feed and stuff too. I'm like, quit your job. They're holding you back. Taxes, all this go online. Like there's so many other ways. Like if you're talking about money, my bad, I'm all over the place, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like,
Dude, 100%, man. See, like when civilization started, right? If we go back to like ancient Egypt, when you start, and even like the Assyrian Empire and stuff like that, when you started having cities being built, right? And it's really started with agriculture. So now you have, instead of everybody going out and hunting and gathering to provide food for the tribe, right? So now you have one person that's growing enough food to feed 100 people. So now you have 100 people that don't have a job to do, but they have to make some type of product, whatever, money, like so to barter for the food that's being grown, right? And you start to see like this class distinction, right? So you see the priest class come out, right? Like in ancient Egypt, you start
yeah,
seeing pottery, the artisan class come out, right? And they start getting paid more money because they have a specialty. And then you fast forward to today, and you have 4 or 5 people that have more money than most of the countries in the world, all
yeah,
because of this specialization. That and think about what we specialize, like what is important for us to specialize. The most important thing for at least Americans, that we specialize, that we're like, I am willing to give up so much money for this specialization, is entertainment. Like the Coliseum has never gone away. It's just transformed. Instead of seeing like, lions killing Christians or killing gladiators, killing each other or something, we're just watching movies called Gladiator, you know,
agree.
but we're still seeing the blood and gore. It might be fake, but it's still driving that entertainment value, that bloodlust, like that we all want to see. You know what I mean? Like the John Wick movies,
Yeah.
like everybody wants to be like watching that. Like, dude, going on 50 and I'm watching John Wick and I'm like, I want to be John Wick, dude. I'm gonna start training tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like it's just it calls to us, but that's what we put in the importance on. But we don't put the importance on teachers, mentors, coaches,
Yeah.
people that have a knowledge base that can actually elevate your life.
See, this is why I don't know. That's what I was saying. I don't respect people like because they're kind of selling out because they're really taking a big bribe, which they don't need to. There's many ways to make money. You live in America, but like I don't know, like it's tough to say. I mean, a lot of people want that life. They want stability. They want the illusion of it because you don't have stability because you don't control the business. You have no say in the business other than the job you do. So you just do a good job and you make sure the business is going good. But like they're choosing that. They want all these things. That's why sometimes I'm like, is this just nature? Or some men just made to lead? Because like obviously, like there's a couple people with all the wealth. They led themselves to wealth, and there's a bunch of people working. There's plenty of options. I want to say this is a lack of perception. They're just ignorant. I really want to say that. I really don't want to say people were born this way, but how can I speak for other people? I can only speak for myself, right? So
Yeah.
this is difficult.
Yeah, and there's so many different, I think it's so nuanced, like to get like what would because I think about this a lot, like especially growing up 40 years in church where I turned my back on education. I felt like I was telling you before we started recording, like I fell in love with it like at 34 when I went to college and stuff. And I was like, why did I waste my like what could I have done if I went from high school to college? Like I think of myself like I would have been an astronomer.
Yeah.
I, I don't think I'd be smart enough to be like an astrophysicist or something. Like the math like scares me, but just like what could I have done? But like you said, the perceptions and our perceptions are based off of the experience that we have, and specifically the meaning that we give to those experiences. So, and since everybody is different, like we can have two of the same experiences, and I can give it this one meaning that makes me motivated, pushes me beyond my comfort zone, and you can give it this other meaning that shoves you deeper into your comfort zone. You know what I mean? Keeps you limited. And I think a lot of people are living almost blind. Like this is the way life is supposed to be. Get up, go to work, come home, have dinner, watch TV for a couple hours, go to sleep, get up, go to work, have dinner. You know what I mean? Like this routine based thing as if we're just machines.
See,
There's no chance to just experience life.
see, like I tell people, I hate when I have this conversation with people because I live in Ohio, right? And I'm like, no, like it drives me crazy because it's your culture. Get the fuck out of the state. Get out of the country. And I really mean this. Henry Ford started this in Michigan. He started the 40-hour work week. He decided my employees are going to get 2 days off. This started in Michigan. That's a 3-hour drive for me. Well, that's a 3 hour drive. That's a 3 hour drive for me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a part of your culture. Get up, work, go to sleep, wake up again. You got 2 days to hang out. That's not how the world works. Like I've actually been to other countries. That is not how the world works. Like people look at us, they're like, you guys are weirdos. You guys give your whole life to just your employer that you don't even know. Like, did you ever have dinner with him? Do you know his family? Do you hang out with like this doesn't make sense. Why are you investing so much time into your employer? But I tell people it's a part of your culture because Henry Ford did this 100 plus years ago in Michigan. And like I live in the Rust Belt, you know what I'm saying, in Cleveland and stuff. Like this is how everybody's programmed. People want to say this is life. Like, bro, you're being closed-minded. Bro, you go to down south and you get a different perspective. You don't even have to leave the country. I mean, we go, Connecticut, where you're from, you know what I'm saying? Go on the East Coast. There's gonna be a little bit different perspective on work there too. You don't have to go far. Like, I mean, I know I'm closed-minded because, like, obviously, this is how we work. This is how our egos work. But, like, I know if I go, like, if I went to Connecticut to visit you, I'm gonna get a different perspective
Yeah.
because I'm a different place.
Yeah, dude. I lived in Italy for 4 years when I was in the
Oh, shit,
military.
nice.
And life was so different, because like we chose not to live on military housing. We chose to live like we call it the economy. Like so my
Yeah.
landlady was an Italian lady. I couldn't speak to her. Just handed her the money, she'd say grazie and like we were, but dude, they took like a 2 hour lunch every day where they'll
Mm.
have like lunch, take a little nap. Their workday was a little bit longer, but at like 9 o'clock, dude, the bistros are just popping because everybody that's where you're all out to hang out with your friends, socialize. You're having dinner like at 10 o'clock, and it's just a slower way of life. In fact, I remember me and my wife, we were babysitting a buddy of mine, their kids, because him and his wife went out, and we were just walking in a stroller, and this old Italian couple just came up and just picked the baby out of the stroller, right? And we're just playing with it for a minute. And there was no threat whatsoever. Like if that happened in the States, I would be like throwing haymakers, dude. Like, what do you
Right.
do? You know what I mean? But it is so different. But we get so locked into, especially like the whole Merca thing, like this is the way life should be, and all these other countries are just fucking stupid for not living this way. But if you look at the stats, we're low on education, we're low on healthcare, we're low on just overall happiness. You know, most of us are on some type of antidepressant, anti-anxiety medication, you know, all this stuff. So there's definitely something wrong with the way that we're living.
Oh, there's something wrong. I think there's something horribly wrong. We live in a dystopia. No, I mean like
Yeah.
America, all America is good for. I mean, I'm a foreigner. All America is good for is you make money here. Like foreigners that I know, like because I talk to a lot of them, like Enli, you don't find a wife here. You don't live a life here. You work, and then you take that money into another country. Like all it is business here. And obviously, if you just make everything that cold and calculating, obviously this place fucking sucks. And the worst part about it is, and I'm saying the culture sucks because the country is insanely beautiful, insanely big. I mean, the amount of people, the diversity. I mean, like people want to say only people speak English here. I mean, there's so many races of people here. I mean, first of all, part of the country 100 years ago was a part of Mexico. I mean, the amount of Spanish speakers that are here. I mean, there's some places in America you would think you're in Mexico. Like people don't even realize how diverse the damn country is, and then they try to tell you what life is. Like, bro, you haven't been anywhere. You have no idea what you're talking about. And if you have been anywhere, it's been through a computer screen. Like it's just you haven't been anywhere. You can't say anything. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, go ahead, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's just like what you said is like, man, my brain like takes lefts on me because like my it starts running and I start thinking about all this stuff. But like you said, they're told what to think. Like one of the things that I think have happened in the last like 20 years is we have given up our our right to think for ourselves. And now we let some type of news organization, whatever it is, whether it's one that's associated with the right or one that's associated with the left, do our thinking for us. Whatever they say, that's a God-given fact, you know, and it's all propaganda.
Right.
Just that's all it is. Like we have to get back to breaking away from that and being able to think for ourselves.
Like, no, you're so right on that, but that's a choice. Like I tell people, you want to know about, let's say, I don't, Ukraine and Russia. You want to know about that war? Go to Ukraine. Go find out for yourself. And people, oh, I don't got money. I don't have to do it. Then remain ignorant because I haven't been to Ukraine. I am ignorant on the war. I do watch the news, but it's a different, I know it's a different perspective. I know there's an agenda. I know what's going on here. So I still watch the news because I am open-minded because I'll be closed-minded if I'm like, no news, right? I would be closed-minded by definition. So I watch the news. I'm like, okay, what are they trying to tell me? I know I haven't been there. This is not the truth. I'm looking at someone else's truth, you want to say, or perspective or angle, but I have to go there and see it myself. People don't do that. That's another reason why I'm like, go get out of Ohio, see how other people live. Go to
Yeah.
another state, go to another country. But like again, like that's what the news is actually there for. The people that run these stations are like, we know people don't want to think. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. And like I'm not insulting when I say this. Like, for example, I drive a Chevy, right? I don't know how to build a car. I don't. I gave someone else the thinking to do that. That'll be sweet. I could build a car from scratch, right? But do I have time to do that? Is that main priority in my life? I
Yeah.
mean, I do maintenance on my car. I do know how to do a lot of things other people can't do. So I like to say I think a lot more about cars than other people. But like in that case, it's logical. Like, let me use what I have right here. Someone already did the thinking for me. I don't need to learn how an engine works. But the thing is, how far are we going to take it? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's
Right.
some things that are reasonable. That's the
Yep.
problem. It's like
Yeah.
gets dangerous.
Very much so. Very much so. And that, in fact, that even like the thing that because I love technology. I'm not like great at using it, but like the whole thing with the AI coming out, I like using it. Like I found a lot of benefits for it, but I'm also very nervous of it. It's like, and the main thing that I'm nervous for is like, dude, when I was growing up, I had a phone by my bed, right? And the ones that plug into the walls, not a cell phone or anything like that. I used to know like 30, 40 phone numbers right off the top of my head. Like when I was in school, we had pay phones and I could just go in and like dial like my parents, a friend, whatever, right? Talk. And now, dude, I don't I know my wife's phone number, but I don't know my kids. I don't know my parents. Like I don't know anybody else's phone number. So if this phone dies, I'm screwed. I don't know how to get in touch with anybody. And AI, I think, has the ability because we can go in and get all of these answers so much easier than even just going on Google. Like I generally use like Chat GPT for like my Google searches now. And if I don't start exercising other parts of my brain, I'm just gonna start losing that. Like, again, it's gonna be a thing like where I'm creating this persona that doesn't think for myself and then just waits for something else, whether it's a person or an AI technology to give me my answers for me. So I have to actively choose to start doing things to bring like to exercise my mind so I don't lose the ability to think.
Exactly. Yeah, humans pick the path of least resistance, so it's just natural. I was I'm 29, so about like 15, 16 years old. No, yeah, 16 years old, I got a phone and I knew everybody's numbers. I had a million numbers just like that. I'm probably the last generation that remembered numbers like that. And now, yeah, I'm the same exact thing, same exact way. And you're right about that. And that this happens at any age. I mean, like, kids don't even know how to socialize anymore. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It's just like they don't need to. They do it through technology. We are forgetting a lot of things, but it makes sense. You're not doing the thinking. Thinking takes calories. Like you're burning calories when you're thinking. And if you're not using it, obviously because you're conserving calories. This is how we're made as as an organism. Like we're actually winning in life. You know what I'm saying? By thinking less in a lot of ways. So this is like our evolution or like you know, advancement as a species. I mean, it's kind of going against us in a lot of ways with technology.
Yeah, I think it seems like the next whole level of evolution is going to be like some sort of hybrid between, a human being and a machine,
Oh,
you know.
it already is. Like, let's bring it back all the way from the beginning. I actually tell people this. I'm like, so you're on my podcast. Couldn't that be, let's say you say something wrong, you lost your job. Can you just say, that's not me? That's pixels on a screen. That's you're pointing at a computer. I'm right here. I'm not being a smart ass either. And then I could take it even further. Use AI to generate me into a conversation because technically right now, Keith, we're not speaking to each other. You live in Connecticut. I'm looking at my screen right now. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe this is being manipulated right now. I don't know. But like technically, we didn't even meet. Like I'm at that age because I never thought my ego was entangled with technology. I'm like, I'm right here. Just because someone says something like, what about this? Better example. Keith, what happened if I made an Instagram account of you? I screenshotted a picture of you. I made a bunch of posts. Like I just copied your talking posts, right? Made a whole account you, right? And then I started saying, I don't know, a bunch of hateful, racist shit, sex, whatever, you name it. And then people come after you. They're like, that's not me. Hey Keith, that's your profile picture. That's you speaking on camera. That's you. No, it's not you. There's no
Yeah.
separate. I believe there's a separation between technology and man. Everyone's already jumped on this transhumanism thing already because that's why people are too afraid to be on my podcast. Like, this or people are too afraid to follow your Facebook page because couldn't someone hack your account and follow your Facebook page? Be like, hey, that's not my fault. And it's really not because you don't have control of the space. You don't own Facebook. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're not
Yeah.
like a sovereign entity in that. You didn't make that on your own. You're just using someone else's platform. Just like I'm using Zoom right now.
Yeah.
Like I don't get this. There's almost this schizophrenia. It's like I don't even know. It's like you're not in your computer. Anybody could type up any bullshit. Like my profile picture. That's the reason why it's not me. I'm like, none of that's me. You got to come to Ohio to talk to me. Like, I can't believe I have to say this. I'm not even that, like, maybe I sound like an old person. I'm only 29. You got to talk to me. Talking through a computer, because like, obviously the technology is good right now. We're having a great conversation, but this would be 10 times better if I visited you in Connecticut. We're
Oh, hell
facing.
yeah. Yeah, because we would feed off each other's energy more, which is
Right.
lost. And dude, that's such a good point. I mean, because like the camera's picking you up and it's converting you into pixels and into data into ones and zeros, and then it's sending it to my computer, which is then like re whatever, putting it, reforming it into you, and even your voice. It's the same thing. It gets taken down into just sound waves, and then comes across, and then my ears are just interpreting that. You
Like,
know,
I don't know much about technology, but are you claiming that's me? Like what you just explained right there. That's my ego? Like, no, like what is a human? This is what we need to talk about. This is what companies need to talk about. This is what, like, come on, like people can't have social media. Like people can't even have like this doesn't make any sense. It just like you liked a page on Facebook. That doesn't make sense. I've left, I remember when social media came out, I've I've gone to the library as a kid and I didn't log out of my Facebook or whatever. And there'll be some little kid playing on it, just typing shit in. Is that me? That can easily happen. Like, there's no boundary anymore. Like, this is ridiculous. It's like, I know what a human is. And some people want to say I'm not up with the times or I'm an old person, but like it's just true. Like I'm just using definitions here. I'm just using logic. That's not me. I'm
dude,
sorry.
that is such a good fucking point, man. Like, what is a human like in this day and age? Like, what is actually being a human? What does it mean to be human?
Well, supposedly by companies, being a human is your email account, your bank account, your phone. You're like, I mean, these are separate entities. I like to say my phone's separate from me, but I guess it's not. Or like my other friends, because they're like, I can't be on a podcast. I can't make social media posts or even make it faceless. You know what's hilarious? The Patreon, I got to bring this up. One guy told me, hey, I'm like, hey, if the conversation gets risque, let's put it on Patreon. He's like, no, no, because someone's going to pay for your account. Go in there and find me. I'm like, holy fuck. The
Yeah.
mental gymnastics you got to jump through.
Yep.
But this is what I say. Like, that is not me. It's just not me. At the end of the day, like you got to come to me because I bet if I met you in person, because I watch your posts and we're talking right now, but if I met you in person, it would be a different experience. But isn't that logic? Just like I'm watching, you see how frustrated I get? Hey, this is a better example. This is a better example. All right, so I'm watching Scarface, right? I'm watching Tony Montana. Like that is not reality. I know that's Al Pacino, an Italian actor, playing as a Cuban immigrant and supposedly he's a part of like the drug cartel and he's working for Sosa, which is most likely Pablo. This is fiction. I'm not running around saying, "Oh my God, do you see what Al Pacino's doing? He's a part of this drug cartel." No, it's a movie. I know it's fake. When I partake in social media or a podcast, because you see I dressed up nice, I got a bunch of books around me, make myself look smart. I'm speaking a certain way. No, I'm that serious. Like, do you see I'm in a way this is kind of like acting.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't judge people on their social media. And especially when they say something stupid or bad, I don't. Because that's like me judging Al Pacino. I'll be like, he's a piece of shit. You know how many people he killed in that movie? What are you talking about? It's a movie.
yeah.
It's the same thing with social media. Why would I fire you? If I had an employee, I wouldn't fire them. They said something stupid. If I had a problem with something they did on social media, I would talk to them. But like I know it's a movie, like it's the same realm. You're looking at a screen.
Yeah, and we're being judged now off of like a 10-second clip. So we're taking 29 years of life, 50 years of life, and we're condensing it into I just watched this 10 to 20-second clip of you, and now I know everything about you. And
Right.
dude, you don't know anything like anything about me. Especially like the division in the country, like politically. where it's just one side hates the other and the other hates right back. And I can't I can't like align with the fact that everybody out there are just assholes that need to just be put down because they don't agree with what I may agree with. You know what I mean? There's reasons, there's things that have happened in life, there's belief systems, there's experience that they have all experienced that brought them to this point. So their life is so much more than just this condensed 20-second video.
The problem is the bandwidth. If we're talking about human beings, it's so small. Is that even people my age, I realize like, I mean, one thing that's helped me with my bandwidth are books. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Great for your focus. But I can't even talk to someone my age. Like it sucks. I'm like, hey, can we talk about the topic 3 topics ago? Like I wasn't done talking about that. Like I'm that guy in that conversation. Like people were like, I suck to talk to. I'm like, you're moving too fast for me. Like, holy shit. Like slow down. And this is a problem. People are making such fat, like, I mean, oh my God, just like, it's just way too fast. You can't learn anything about anybody like that, just off of a clip. Like, it's ridiculous. And then you're having this emotional reaction against them. Like, this is, again, like, this isn't someone's ego. I can understand if you did this, if I met you in person and we had an argument, because that's actually real life, but you're doing it through a screen. And then it's like, even more ridiculous. It's like this is what I'm calling it schizophrenic. It's split-minded. Like everyone's absolutely fucking insane. It's just like, why like that's not me. That's not you didn't meet me. You're getting emotional at looking at a screen. That's all you're doing. Like
yeah,
you're getting mad at a bunch of pixels. Like I don't know how to break it down, ones and zeros. Like my laptop screen right now, it's very thin. That's what I'll be getting mad at. Or my little phone. Why don't people realize they're getting emotional over like inanimate objects? Like that would be me. I don't even know. Like, wouldn't that look like a crazy person? You saw someone talk yelling at a wall? Yeah, this guy's nuts.
yeah,
Someone's
yeah,
getting
yeah,
emotional over their phone. Oh, this
yeah,
guy's nuts. No, 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 he's actually perfectly fine. Like Trump's a bad guy or whatever you want to say. Whatever, whatever opinion you have about anybody. Like, what? You've never met this person.
yeah,
Like,
dude, it'd be like going to a museum and looking at a piece of art on the wall, and you're being like, I don't like that, and you start yelling at it.
right. It's like, yeah, you're a crazy person.
Yeah,
That's just what it
yeah,
is. It's just like you're a lunatic. Like that's just what it is. When people act like this, like I mean, this is what I see. I mean, to be honest, I don't give people shit because they probably are mentally ill because you shouldn't be that emotional off a 5-second video where people's attention spans are. Like it's just like what is going and again, like I'm not pissed off at Al Pacino for selling drugs and being a part of a drug cartel because he never was in one. He never was. That's what it is.
yeah.
I learned this, a better example, from fighting Muhammad Ali. So everyone's seen Muhammad Ali. He was revolutionary in a lot more ways than you think. And because in the 60s, he knew how to act in front of a camera. Because Muhammad Ali's personality, very bashful, very shy person. He could barely
Really?
look in the eye. He's not his ego. He had no, I mean, like, obviously he had an ego, like, I want to be the greatest boxer ever and everything. But like he knew he had to put on a show. He's not that person. He's from middle class America. I want to say his dad father was an accountant, very humble person, very hardworking. He just knew being humble doesn't pay the bills. My personality sucks to make money. So let me put a persona on, like a professional wrestler. You know what I'm saying? This is where he got these ideas from professional wrestling. Because he knew this is fake and this and that. But obviously what they do is respectful and everything. I'm not dogging that. But you saw how they had a persona. And he wasn't that type of person. People don't believe this. Like if you're in a room, again, you have to meet Muhammad Ali. Rest in peace. He passed away. So unfortunately we can't do this today. But like you had to meet him. And if you met him, you'd be like, this is a God-fearing man. This is a very humble man. This is a very shy, a very introverted person. But that doesn't make money. He knew this.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying he's revolutionary. And
Yeah.
it,
And that's the thing, dude. Like the shit that makes money is the stuff that makes us disconnect with ourselves. Like when I was out in Ohio with Jared and we met you, I remember I came home and there was that night, right? I got in like about midnight. Me and Sandy were talking and so that in fact that was the day we did the DMT ceremony.
Mhm.
And I was just like I felt like I was seeing the world for the first time, like I was just newborn. And in fact, me and Sandy were talking, and like within 10 minutes, she started crying. And she's like, I've never felt so much just peace radiate off you. And then I went out to the garage and I was just smoking and watching like a little bit of a movie because that new Joker movie had come out. And but I was like, let me watch the first one so I can catch up, right? And there was this scene like where he makes his first kill, and it was I don't know why, because I've seen the movie before, but it was so disturbing to me that I ended up just shutting it off. And I was like, you know what? It's not feeling right. You know what I mean? It was too real. Um,
Mhm.
so I just like shut it off. But like people are like you said, they take these little things and they see like this is the reality. Like from dude, I've always been like, I would love to work on a sitcom or a movie or something like that. You know what I mean? Because it looks like it's so fun. But then you hear like in the news or something that all the actors hate each other. There's all this fighting. Like there's some movie now like where they're like all the actors are suing each other because they hate each other so much and stuff like that. So even like what we're seeing, what's our entertainment and the stuff that we want to emulate in our lives, it's not real. You know what I mean? It's just that persona that's being put on because that's what sells.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just theater. I got this book behind me. I gotta pull it up because it might answer some things. So I got this book, extremely powerful. I really recommend it. Power versus Force.
Oh,
And it's by David R. Hawkins, MD, PhD. So legit guy, but he's pretty out there. Eh, I'm not done with it, quarter of the way. And to be honest, I stopped reading it because this was already difficult enough. It's about like consciousness and and again, like what is power, what is force, and it, it it's pretty. It was definitely above what I know, but what I got perfectly, and I think he put it awesomely, is this chart. Do you see this chart?
oh yeah.
So the above is the power, below is the force. So basically, Hawkins says for you to move up in consciousness, and this is what I want you to focus on, because you actually brought up you're in peace. He actually puts a number by it. This is fascinating. Peace is right under enlightenment. That's the frequency you're at. But we talked about fear. Fear is right here. Everybody's in fear. I mean, look, you start in shame, guilt, apathy. This is legit how human emotions work. Like this is why I mess with this so heavy. And you're at peace. You can't watch something out of fear. It doesn't connect with you. You turn it off. But if you're in that fearful stage, that is an awesome thing to watch. Because it,
Yes, dude.
for, you can't do this at peace. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And you see through your experience, you probably went through all of this: shame, guilt, apathy, grief, desire, anger, pride, courage, neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason. Like this is how human emotions work. This guy's got it down. Because I tell myself this all the time. If I want to go to fear to courage, nah, I need to go through desire, anger, pride, then courage. You
That's
got to work
freaking
yourself up.
amazing, dude. I'm gonna pick that book up, man.
The chart, for me, this was difficult. This is why I stopped reading it because I'm like, maybe I need to read some other things. He gives examples. Basically, the whole book, he gives examples of everybody in those modes.
Yeah.
For like enlightenment, he brought up typical ones you'd think of: Christ, Buddha, people like peace. like Muhammad Gandhi or Martin Luther King. You know what I'm saying? Like he brings up examples and like, oh man, it's just like this is why you're not resonating with that because I've had experiences psychedelics like that also, and I realized I just don't resonate with that. And then when
Yeah.
I meet people, they're in fear and that bullshit. I don't resonate with that either. It doesn't, remember in the beginning, I'm like, it doesn't make sense because I'm not in that state of consciousness. If I was in that fear state of consciousness, I'd be like, well, that makes perfect sense. Like, what are you talking about? I would actually defend it. I would actually argue against it because that's my state of consciousness.
Yeah, dude, that is such a good point too. Because we're gonna feed the animal that's alive inside of us. So if that's fear, we're gonna feed fear to it. If it's peace, we're gonna want to feed more peace to it.
Yes.
You know, um, yeah, dude, I fucking love that, dude.
And that's why, like for example, in marketing and stuff, you got to use fear to get someone to buy something. Everyone's already in fear. If you want to sell peace to someone, I mean, you gotta give them someone in that state of consciousness and peace. Because I wouldn't be able to sell you anything if I use fear. But if I use peace or enlightenment, I'm sold. I'm
Yeah,
sold.
yeah,
Give me that. But everyone's in fear. So
yeah.
that's why people are like, use fear. And you know what I'm saying? It's just like, this is why scary movies are popular and other negativity and bullshit on social media. It's like, that's what everybody wants. Because you choose your state of consciousness. It's in your mind. You know what I'm saying? People want to be there. That's why I'm like looking at them like, why are you staying there? Why are you torturing yourself? You could move up. You know what I'm saying? In your case, and I've done it too, but like sometimes we get a little bit extra help. You know what I'm saying? From like, DMT and other things like that.
Yep,
Like
yep.
you could do it by, I mean, that's what Christ, Buddha, I mean, what any prophet you could think of. You know what I'm saying? They're like, you could do this yourself. But people refuse that. People are like, I don't want that.
Yeah, yeah, we've been taught that all of our answers are out there somewhere. Like we're waiting for fucking Amazon to drive up and drop off a box, and it's like happiness, contentment, joy. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't exist out there. It
I got
exists
this.
inside.
Yes, I got this other book, The Book of Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi. Have you heard of him?
No.
No? Seriously?
Yeah, I've
Uh,
never heard of them.
this is actually a really short read. This is a big book, but it's got a bunch of nice pictures in it. But it's a really short read. But basically, Musashi, and trust me, this isn't a tangent. This is onto what you're saying. Musashi was a Ronin samurai. So a samurai with no master in like 1400s Japan. And he had no formal training. He was just fighting people to the death by himself. He was just jumping to wars. This guy was an animal. And he went 60-0 in duels,
Damn.
just one-on-one with people. And you gotta remember, he's a masterless samurai. He didn't have a samurai. He didn't have a katana. He just used a metal. He just found a log and just like carved it, beating the shit out of people. No, like with a wooden stick. It was basically a training stick.
That's crazy.
And this guy, he's got a quote, and I might butcher it a little bit, but basically says, there's nothing outside yourself. If you want to get stronger, faster, richer, smarter, wiser, it's all inside yourself. Do not look outside, look within. And he actually did it because he was actually a homeless man running around Japan, killing people. And now he's like Japan's like I don't even know like what to call him. I mean like they have so much pride in this guy. You see this guy all over the place in Japan. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where the samurai, like the wandering samurai motif comes from, like in movies and stuff and like westerns and like it comes from this guy. But he said that himself. This guy actually became, and to give him more validity, after fighting, he's like, this is pointless, gave up the sword, and eventually became like a Zen master, died in a cave, like meditating. So this guy, some people actually claim this was a Buddha like figure, like he did attain enlightenment.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but that's the biggest part. Like with this guy, like no, that's so fucking true. I tell people that all the time. And another thing too, that's a hard thing to admit because I could say it for myself, because then I have to say, oh, it's my fault that I'm not rich. I'm not. stronger. I'm not wiser. Like I say this to people that get pissed off at me, and I realize I'm kind of attacking their ego. It's your fault. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's the most truthful thing that like people need to come into
Yes.
awareness of. Like it's about responsibility. You know what I mean? Like taking, because all we do is react. You know, we because since we're always in that fear mode, and that fear mode is always going to operate in the fight or flight response, the survival mode. And when we're in that survival mode, you know, like when we were a prey species, if we were running from like a saber-toothed tiger, like we're not going to sit there and be like past like this beautiful like open field and be like, all right, wait. Can we just like look at this for a little bit? I mean, just look how beautiful this is. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna get killed, right? So parts of our brain shut down. In fact, like we lose sense of time, our digestive shuts down,
Yes.
all the blood like goes to the extremities, like to help us run faster, fight harder, all that stuff, you know. But then there comes to a point where you see the fruitlessness of that, you know, and you see that peace, even though it's looked as a weakness, like especially in this culture, is so much stronger because you can still do all that stuff. You know, like dude, 2 years ago, I play pool on Friday nights, and 2 years ago, there was a dude who was like real fucking angry. And there was another guy on my team that he was real quick with his mouth, right? And so this guy, he had like a beard, but it was one of those really patchy ones.
Okay.
And so my buddy was talking to somebody completely different about a guy that's probably going to end up being a professional pool player. And he was talking about how he's like, when I get LASIK surgery, I'm going to be able to beat this guy. Right. And he's been saying this for years. So it's just like, oh, all right, dude. Yeah. You'll beat him. Yeah. Good for you. You know what I mean? Just kind of let it like roll off. But this other dude, the dude with the patchy beard, was friends with that guy and was like, "You better shut your mouth." And I'm like, "Damn, dude, you're that triggered? Like your buddy that's going to be a professional pool player is so scared of this dude that you need to fight for him. You know, like that's pathetic, dude, right?" So, but I'm just sitting back watching, and it's escalating more and more. And then like some pushing started, and this was like almost like over my son-in-law. My son-in-law has like what do you call it, a cage in his back. His back is completely destroyed. So he gets up and he just puts his hands out, and I was like, all right, everybody just calm down, right? And his hands were like on them both. And the dude with the beard like grabbed his arm. He's like, "Don't touch me. I'll take you out." You know, and it's that posturing. They're like fucking chihuahuas, dude. Like everybody's just like me, but nobody's doing anything. You know what I mean? So then my daughter, who she's kind of like just feral. She comes running up out of nowhere and she's like, "Let go of my husband." And she goes at the dude. Right. So I'm just again just kind of like sitting there, and then I hear my son-in-law go like, "Let go of my wife." So I'm like, all right, I'm done. So I get up, I go over, trying to just like push the guy back. I am calm as hell, dude. Like I've never had this experience before where I was like calm in an altercation like this. I'm like, dude, it's not worth it. Just back up, man. It's so what, you know? And then when I heard that he had grabbed my daughter's wrist, I'm like, all right, we're done. So I just stepped the leg around, grabbed him by his waist, bam, slammed him as hard as I could, split his elbow open, and it landed on top of him. And then I was just looking, I'm like, all right, we're done. We're done. Like helped him up. Now that makes me feel real cool. The next day, I couldn't fucking move, dude. Like my whole right side, I pulled every muscle from like the top of my head to my like smallest toe on my
Right.
foot, dude. I could not move. But like peace brings a power to that, like where you can be the guy that can handle their business, but you can be also the guy that doesn't need to handle their business because most of it is just chihuahuas barking at each other. You know what I mean? So
That's
my
what that book.
yeah, dude.
That's what that is. Because you
Yeah.
can't. you're going to lose to someone with that consciousness. If we're talking about that, you're going to lose to someone that's coming from peace, or even worse, even enlightenment. Be fucking scared. Like if you came across Christ, you know what I'm saying? You try to hurt him or Buddha, it's not going to go well for you. I don't know how it's going to go, but it's not going to go well. You're not
Yeah.
winning.
Yeah. No, there's no way. You can't. You
I
can't.
realize I realize that in fighting in general, because everyone thinks you got to be angry to fight, right? If anything, like because I realize because neutrality is the middle part. I realized I had to be neutral and above, or at least above my opponent. Because if I'm coming from fear, which majority of fighters are coming from, like, fear against fear, that's a good fight. But if I was one step ahead, or like if I was at courage, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm beating that. I'm
Yeah.
beating that person. Doesn't matter. I mean, Customato, Mike Tyson's coach, he would say boxing is 5% physical, 95% mental. And I believe it's the same thing for MMA because I've been guys that are better than me. I've been guys bigger than me. I've been guys stronger than me, faster than me. There's no way on paper you're losing, Enli, and vice versa. Guys that I'm better at, bigger, stronger, faster, they've beaten me, but it's up here. That's
Yeah.
why I lost. My consciousness. If you want to say really want to pinpoint it, my state of consciousness. But yeah,
Dude.
100%.
Yeah. Dude, last night, man. So on my Friday night pool team, we play both 9 ball and 8 ball. Right. So 9 ball, I went up with in fact, my friend that I'm gonna be marrying her and her fiance tomorrow. So I was playing her. And we're pretty well matched, but I was just feeling good. I was like calm, like I was confident. And it was like one of those games, like, and I'm not great, like I'm mid-level. But it was one of those games like where I felt like even if I tried, I couldn't miss. Right. So then I go to the next my 8 ball game, and I'm playing this dude that I know is good, that he's always been better than me. Like right now, our skill levels are the same, but he's always been better than me. And so even before I lost that match, even before the first ball was shot, because I was already thinking of him as my better, which then started breaking down my confidence. And I was like, dude, I would take a shot, like a straight in shot, and I would miss the pocket by like a foot and a half. The ball would go off this way. And I'm like, what the hell was that? And my dad came up to me, he goes, I was looking at you lining up. He goes, you lined that thing up so off, man. And I was like, I'm just like camped out in my head. And I ended up losing the match. It's yeah, it's the mental, that's where it's all gonna start.
It's always been there from the beginning.
Yeah.
Always been our foundation.
And
Keep working.
I would say like that's the biggest thing that like we as just people need to learn is to stop looking externally for happiness and contentment and peace and the things that we want in life, and start looking internally. That's where it's going to start.
And the thing is, this is going back to before, you need bandwidth to do that. You can't do that in 5 seconds, which you
No,
train yourself on social media to do. That's another problem why people are like, I can't achieve it. These are bandwidths that small. You know what I'm saying? You know, they need an update. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
They need
yeah,
that big.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
a problem. That's why
um
people put limits on themselves.
do you know Eben Britton,
Yeah,
Jared?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm reading his book, and I was like, all right, dude, I gotta get in touch with this dude. I was just resonating with so much with like some of what he went through. Like, I mean, in the NFL, I mean,
Right,
I,
right.
I did play Pee Wee football, but I'm thinking that's a little bit different than actually being in the NFL. But we had like such an amazing fucking talk, dude. And it was all about just slowing down, like remembering your humanity. You know what I mean? Because I think one of the things that we could do, especially like people that are on the path, like a spiritual type path, is start living specifically spiritual. But we're human beings, so we're observing spirituality through a lens of humanity, but
Okay.
we want to drop that because in that humanity, that's where we have the emotions that we consider bad, like anxiety, depression, anger. But all those emotions are fucking amazing. You know what I mean? In the right context,
Right.
but we're so, like you said, schizophrenic. We're so off that we're using them in the wrong ways, and it's like we're like one of those old-timey pirate ships that with the sails in the wind, like if a good wind blows, we're happy. If a bad wind blows, we're pissed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when we're pissed, we got to snap at everybody. We got to like treat everybody like shit. Or even like this thing that I've been hearing a lot lately, depending on how people treat me, that's how I'm going to treat them. If they're going to be a sack of shit, then I'm going to be a sack of shit. I'm like, all right, now we're just creating a big pile of shit. You know what I mean? Like it's so liberating getting to a point where someone can treat me like shit and I could be like, that's cool. It means absolutely nothing to me. I'm definitely not there yet, but
Right. I mean, it's all ego,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
I'm
coming from like
closer.
fear.
Yeah, yeah,
Obviously, like, you bring up like I brought up like Christ and stuff. Like Christ didn't care what people did to him. I mean, like he got embarrassed, he got humiliated in front of people. People spat on him. People fucking threw shit at him. Like, you know what I'm saying? They put him up on a cross. Like he didn't give a shit. You
yeah.
know what I'm
What
saying?
were some of his last words? Father, forgive them for they know not what
Yes.
they do. I'm like, all right, dude, much less if somebody just whipped me to the point where it just ripped all the flesh off my back, exposing my ribs and stuff, put a crown of thorns like inch and a half like into my head, nailed my hands and my feet to a cross. I'm gonna be like, Father, destroy them. Like, make them burn right in front of me, but make it last, dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
dude, I stubbed my toe, and just because I'm not looking where I'm going, and I'm fucking yelling at Sandy, my wife,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
why did you put the chair there? And she's like, I didn't fucking touch the chair, you asshole. Like, you know what I mean? But like, I
yeah,
need someone to blame, dude. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like, yeah, dude. And that's the place I want to get. And it took me a while to understand that when somebody is acting the fool and then it's pissing me off, it's not because of them. It's because what they're saying, what they're doing is triggering in something inside of me that I'm like mirroring, and I don't like that part of myself. So
yeah,
I got to go back at them.
yeah.
And
Projection.
yeah, yeah,
Totally. No, I understand completely what you're saying. Like, I mean, this is such a hard conversation to have because if we knew the solution, we could end wars and have world peace and there'll be no divorce and everyone live happy together, right? It's difficult to say. I don't know. Because obviously I'm not like people should be victims. You know what I'm saying? Like obviously don't take shit. I'm definitely not for that if you could defend yourself. But at the same time, I'm not saying go out look for revenge. I don't know.
yeah. And that's it. Like a lot of people I talk to like that, like that's like where they'll go. They're like, oh, so if someone spits on me, I should just take it. Like, no, dude. No. So I was playing pool with this dude once, and I felt real bad for him. I think he had like the beginnings of Parkinson's because he like shook so bad, and
Mm,
like playing pool, when you're shaking and you're trying to keep your stick straight and hit a ball straight, like shaking is not good for you. And so part of etiquette is like if you're about to shoot up at a pocket and I'm standing like kind of in your line of sight, I'm supposed to get out of your way. You know what I mean? That way there just in case like there's nothing that you could say, right? But the pool hall is like so packed on Friday nights that sometimes it's hard to stand like out of people's way. So I'm playing this guy and I haven't seen him in like about a year and a half. So I think he stopped, but um he was missing everything. and I wasn't as good as I am like now. But I was just clipping away like one ball at a time, and I was going to get to the point where I was going to win. And then he's going to take a shot. I'm standing like 5 feet behind the table, but I'm in his line of sight. And I feel like I'm locked in. So he's shaking like crazy. He takes the shot and he misses bad. And he looks up at me and he goes, "You're standing in my line of sight. You ain't supposed to do that." Right. So my first reaction was to be like, "Fuck you, dude. Where do you want me to go? Like, you want me to like actually step outside while you're shooting, come back in? You're still gonna fucking miss it, shaky. Like
Yeah, yeah.
being an asshole back is like my first response.
Right.
So I was just like, I forget his name, but I was like, all right, dude, I got you, man. I'll stay anyway. So I made it like a point when he went up to the table, I would walk out of my way, like 10 feet away behind these other tables where there's no place that he was going to shoot on this table where he was going to see me. So the match goes on. I end up winning. And then as you know, you're supposed to shake hands and hey, good match, whatever. And he comes up, he doesn't shake my hand, and he goes, "You're not supposed to stand in my way. Like you were in my line of sight. You're not supposed to do that." And and this was like one of the first times, like those moments of growth that you see where you're like, "Oh, that's so cool." Right. So because I went where like my rage dictated everything, and then I went so far the other direction where I wouldn't stand up for myself, a little bit, and then I finally found that middle ground and I was like, let's just say his name is Dave. I was like, "Dave, it's over. I got out of your way. So I did exactly what you asked for. Good match. Have a great night, dude." And then turned around and walked away. So I was assertive with him, said what I had to say without anger, without being an asshole, and
Mhm.
then just walked away. And that was the last I ever heard, and I think for me, like that's the place I want to get, you
Yeah.
know, um, unless I got to hip toss someone again, which I don't think I'd ever be able to do again, dude, but yeah, being observant. Fact, dude, all right, I know I'm rambling.
You're okay.
One of the best stories I've ever heard. So this guy named Ed Parker, he
Yeah.
created,
Yeah.
yeah, the
I used
American
to do
Kempo.
tempo. Yeah, I used to do
Yeah.
tempo.
Oh, dude, I used to do Kempo too. That's so
Yeah.
cool. I love American Kempo, dude.
Yeah, hell
So
yeah.
have you ever heard the story of his teacher when he came to visit him? He used to carry this like metal briefcase, right? And he was
Uh,
just this little Chinese dude. And he gets off the plane and he walks out of the airport, and some dude comes up and grabs him and grabs his briefcase. And the dude lets go of the briefcase, pins the guy's arm, does like an uppercut right under his elbow. Boom. His elbow just snaps. And then he had a teaching like whatever you break, you try to fix. So he snaps the guy at the elbow, comes around, drops down, and then hits it back the other way, just breaking it even more. The dude just falls out in pain, screaming. The guy picks up his briefcase and just walks over to his taxi cab as if nothing ever happened. And I'm like, that's the control I want in my life.
Agreed. I mean, I guess it's going back to like Christ. He's Christ. I mean, he's God, right? So he, all those people that disrespect him, can he just snap his fingers, blow their heads up? Couldn't he just make them burn alive? He could do anything he wants, right? He's all powerful, but he
Yeah.
didn't do it. He didn't do it.
Think about like the one time he got pissed off. If you remember the story, like the money changers in the
Right.
temple,
Right.
right? Where I mean, he pulled a whip off the wall and started whipping, but he did it to the religious class.
Hmm.
He never did that to somebody considered a sinner, to whores, to fornicators,
Yeah.
to anything like that. Never did that, but he did it to the religious class for a specific reason too, because I think, like, if I remember right, he said like you've turned the house of God into a den of thieves because the Israelites they were supposed to bring like I think it was like the a firstborn lamb without spot or blemish, like perfect for the sacrifice. And the priests start like, all right, we can make money. Like we're gonna sell these fucked up lambs, that got like 8 legs and stuff, and we'll sell those for the sacrifice, which weren't up to the standards of the law written in Leviticus. So when he saw that, I don't know if you call it losing your temper, but he
Nah, he's
flipped.
definitely angry.
Yeah, he got pissed. You
Definitely
know what I
angry.
mean?
Flipping
And
tables, whipping
yeah,
people. Yeah,
yeah,
he's
dude.
definitely
Yeah, in fact, he went WWE, man. He was
right.
like body slamming people onto the tables, dude. Like, yeah, he went nuts. Like, you know what I mean? So there's a point to that, and we should be able to do that, but in the right context.
Right. And it's like, so it's difficult, man, because you realize if it was the right context or not after the situation. You're like, oh, damn, like I got the anger the best of me. I've just spazzed out on a bunch of people. Or like I didn't speak up. I didn't have the courage. Like I just let evil happen in front of me. Like it sucks. The thing is, it's a risk and you just need to take it. You need to be brave. That's what it seems like. You gotta be willing to mess up too. That's the craziest part. It's like you might actually do something really bad that you might, spend the rest of your life. You gotta redeem yourself.
Yeah, dude. In the army, they always taught like make a decision, whether it's right or wrong. Make a decision. Like they would
Yes.
respect you more for making it a wrong decision instead of making no decision at all.
Oh, agreed.
And
Agreed.
even that's the thing in the Bible too. Like it talks about like God would rather you be hot or cold, but when you're lukewarm, like it says like he'll spew you, like literally vomit you out of your mouth. Like
So
when
true.
we're lukewarm like that, we make God nauseous.
No, so true. I mean, like, yeah, indecisiveness is a killer. Like
Yeah.
that's yeah, it's so true. Time just keeps on moving. You can't hold it back.
Yeah. And there's ways to sort of mitigate the possibility of really like causing problems. Like, that was the one thing I learned, like with my anger, is like, everybody's telling me like I have an anger problem. I have to go to anger management. And that never made sense because I'm like, dude, I'm managing my anger like real well, because I use it all the time. I practice anger every opportunity I get. But what I don't practice is peace, gratitude, love, joy. So if we can spend time practicing those things, you know what I mean? Like when we have to step up and do something and use anger, it's going to be in such I think a better format that we're using it in.
Is going back to this book, which really clicked with me, because I think I'm a very angry person, and people have definitely said that to me. Right here, anger. Do you see that well? Do you see where anger is in this column?
Oh yeah, it's up on that page. It's like the third one down.
So below is desire,
Yeah.
fear, grief, apathy, guilt, shame. And then everything else is pride, courage, and everything gets better. I started realizing I shouldn't be ashamed of my anger. My anger is keeping me from inaction because I don't want to be in those states of consciousness. And I realize a lot of men, I mean, some of them just stay at anger. They don't like, I mean, you probably hear women say this, they're like, only emotion you can express is anger because they're literally trying to hold everything together before they just end up in a fucking depression.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because you can't do anything in those emotions. Like you just can't. Like anger is actually a fine emotion to be at. That's the lowest where I want to be. I obviously want to get up higher, but that's the lowest I want to be. Because this kind of going to like, I don't know, toxic masculinity and like how men should act and men shouldn't be so angry. Well, you want us to be sad? You want us crying? We're not gonna get anything done. Anger pushes you to places. And I think the story of Christ, that's actually what he's shown with that. Because I don't think Christ has ever been, I mean, I don't know the Bible like that, but I mean, has he ever been fearful? Has he ever been depressed? Was there a time he's like, yeah, I'm not leaving my house. I'm staying in. I'm not performing any miracles. I'm not going to help anybody out.
Yeah, dude, that's such a good question too, because I've never I know he's been sad because there's like that one verse, Jesus wept,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
when his buddy died.
But that's reasonable.
I
Who
I
wouldn't?
th- I think I can say he was fearful, because like when he went to the garden before he was crucified, before the Romans came and arrested him, like in the Garden of Gethsemane, he prayed that if God will remove this cup from him, like remove this job, like, but then he said, but your will be done. Yeah, not mine, something like that. And that's the thing, like we're all gonna feel fear, but we can either allow that fear to control us or we can control it. And by controlling it, it doesn't mean we're not going to feel it. This is something like I'm learning like crazy right now, like because my depression is pretty much under control, but my anxiety still whoops my ass. And I hear all this stuff like you just got to surrender and accept. So like in my mind, I'm like, I surrender. And I'm like, why the fuck do I still feel anxious? Because like it's the acceptance of this is how I feel right now. You know what I mean? So the trick is not to get it to go away, it's just to be okay with it. So he was okay with being afraid and still said, I'm still going to step through
Yeah.
that fear and do what I got to do.
See, Customato, Mike Tyson's coach, and you should look into him because like I've never heard anybody else explain fear like he has, which has
Mm.
really helped me out. I mean, no other psychologist or anybody I could think of. But this is in the context of fighting, but obviously it goes into the rest of life. But he makes the analogies like fear is like fire. It's like you have to manage that fire because obviously fire could cook your food and keep you warm, or it could burn your house down. And when fighters get in the ring and they freeze up, that's the house burning down. Or a fighter could, use that fire to actually help them win the fight, project their fears onto their opponent and defeat that opponent because that's what fighting is. Like any fighter tells you that they're not scared, well, that's bullshit. And if they do really believe that, well, they're just using their fear the proper way.
Yeah.
But that's what Mike Tyson's coach was talking about, Customato. We gotta manage that fear. That's what fear is. It's normal to be fearful. Like if you're walking to a ring to fight someone, that's normal. You'd be a psychopath if you feel no emotion. You just have to manage it.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's what Christ did. You know what I'm saying? He did have fear, but he managed it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And like you were talking about like the whole toxic masculinity and like, how men should act in the world and stuff. And I think that that's one of the biggest things. Like there is a fear that is I can't be authentic, I can't be vulnerable, I can't show any ounce of weakness, and then everything that we associate with weakness. So anything associated with like the feminine is weak to the masculine. So love, just being happy, being content, being peaceful, kindness, like I've heard this stuff like constantly. It drives me crazy. Like being kind is a trauma response. I'm like, how the
Yeah.
fuck, dude? Like, why is it bad to be kind? Like, but we're making kindness a disorder now, like a psychological disorder, and there's so many dudes, like, they'll be like, I'm a man. I will, anybody that stands in my way, I will fuck them. I'll kill them, whatever it is. They are the toughest, like, they'll tell you they're the toughest guys in the world and be like, all right, tell me your biggest fear. Be vulnerable. That's bullshit.
Yeah, I
You're a
love that.
man. You could do anything, but you can't just be vulnerable, dude.
No, that's so true because like if someone actually is vulnerable, I mean that is a tough guy because first of all, the reason why men are not vulnerable because in some ways I agree with you shouldn't be vulnerable because people will take advantage of you. That's why they want you to open up. Like that's why this culture is happening. But if you're actually strong, like let's say if I was vulnerable to you, Keith, right now, I opened up to you and then you took advantage of me, but I'm strong enough. Okay, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't tell the future. I don't know your intentions, but I'm strong enough to take that. So when I'm vulnerable, that's actually an act of courage.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People don't think about it like that. And that's so I loved how you brought that up because I've said the same thing to other guys. I've brought that up to other people. You know what I'm saying? Because some people are just vulnerable. I mean, like, oh man, it's just such a touchy subject, honestly. But I agree with you completely on that. You're not that tough. If you can't open up, you can't say some words to someone.
Dude, I always tell everybody like I have cried with some of the toughest dudes I've ever met in my life. I remember this dude, John Stopa. He was in my unit. He was like 6'2", 6'3". He played football for the Florida Gators. And he got kicked off the team because he got caught. He broke his hand and he got caught playing with a cast on.
Okay.
Um, and so there's probably like more to the story than just that, but
Right, right.
so he ended up out of college, joined the army, and he could hold like the 60 machine gun. He can hold it like as a pistol, right? So we walked up to this compound one day in Bosnia, and these dudes came out, and this dude had his AK like pointed right at my face. Like I just it was I stopped at the worst place, it was like right in front of the gate. So I put my selector lever onto semi so that if he shot me like on the recoil, I was hoping I could take him out. And my platoon sergeant's like, Stopa, why don't you go over and back Keith up? Right. So he comes over with the 60, locks and loads it, and just like arms straight out, dude. And that thing is like 20 fucking pounds. And he's just holding it there right at the dude. And so the dude takes his hand off the gun and stuff, and he backs up. But me and him, dude, we spent time like sitting on my cot in Bosnia, like crying because we were so fucking miserable. And there was other dudes that I knew too. Like there was one dude, he became a medic for the special forces, and as he was going through the selection process, he shattered his hand, and if he went to the medics, he would have had to be recycled. So he would have to do the entire, after he healed, he have to do the entire selection course over again. And so he did the last 2 weeks with a shattered hand. Um, and then I was still like in church at the time, and he was a part of our church. And when he came back, like this dude could not sing, but he got up there and he just wanted to praise God for like what God brought him through. And he got up there and sang like a special song in front of everybody. And I just sat there. I was like, I wouldn't have the courage to get up and do this. And this dude is SF, man. I mean, some of the toughest dudes that I know are in touch with their emotional sides.
I would actually claim it to be a man. You would have to be. It's
I
kind of
agree,
stupid.
100%.
Where did this bullshit come from? Like, I don't know. Like, men are like, I don't know. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I think about it with fighting, like MMA especially. Like, I'm like half naked out there.
Yeah,
Yeah. And if I get knocked out, it's in front of a bunch of people that will record me and stuff. Like, that's not vulnerable. It's like,
yeah,
what are you talking about? Or even like what you're saying, like, I mean, you guys were in Bosnia, away from your families. Anything could happen. Like, you brought up a dangerous situation right there. You're telling me you're not vulnerable there in a place where you don't speak the language, you don't know the culture. Like, I don't know. Like, everyone's got different definitions. They're twisting words around. I would say a lot of men are pretty vulnerable. You know what I'm saying? They don't say it to certain people because it was just I mean think about it. You'd be giving information to the enemy, like a war analogy. Like, would that be
right, right.
smart? No, I don't think so. But
Yeah,
obviously you have to be vulnerable. I mean, we're human beings. Everybody cries.
yeah,
Like we all did it since we were babies. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. And there's always like that extreme, like, like like I think everybody knows like a person like this that, like, hey, how you doing? Like, life sucks. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, right.
like they're so openly vulnerable with everything. It becomes like a drain. Like, you
True.
remember the movie Airplane? Um,
No, I don't think I've seen it.
oh, dude, there's this one scene where this lady is just talking about her life, and it's so depressing that everybody that she talks to ends up like killing themselves right next to
Oh
her.
God.
Like in the plane, like one dude just hangs himself. He's just hanging there and
Oh
stuff.
shit.
And then the next scene, she's talking with somebody else, and the dude opens up a door and just jumps out of the plane. you know,
Is this
because
a comedy?
oh yeah. It's with
Okay, good context.
yeah,
I'm like,
it's
oh, this sounds depressing.
oh dude, it is one of the funniest movies
Okay,
that's
okay.
out there, dude. Yeah, so you can be like there's a time and place for it, you know what I mean? But when you don't have that outlet for it, it sits inside of you and it collects and it just becomes toxic.
Yes,
You know
yes.
what I mean?
See, like, I mean, this is why like Stoicism is so popular.
Yeah.
And this just came to mind. In college, this is when I'm like, college is fucking bullshit. This is the last straw. Like, I minored in psychology, and actually, the APA, the American Psychological Association, came out with basically this paper on Stoicism. This was in 2017, basically saying Stoicism should be eradicated. This is like it should not exist. Men should not be following this. This is extreme. This is unhealthy. And I remember like my classmates and stuff. I remember because Stoicism was popular like 2017. So I'm talking about Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus and stuff. And then you got like, whoa, what is he talking about? There's not, no, you don't talk about that around here. Like, this is amazing what it's done for my life. But I was doing the paper it came out. And they obviously don't know what Stoicism is. And I don't think the average person knows what it is. If anything, it's about being extremely emotional. It's
Yeah.
just you're not showing it. It's just you're managing your emotions. You're processing your emotions. It's not neglecting your emotions. Because that's the best way to be emotional when you neglect them 100%. That's the best way to be, like it's just everything's inverted. It drives me crazy. How did this
Oh,
happen?
dude, 100%. And
Well,
that's the thing. Like I heard this thing, like, all right, so the psychology of today, because I love like you always share videos of Carl
oh
Jung.
yeah,
And I'm like, I got every time I watch one of your videos that you put up at him, like I gotta read what this dude wrote. I gotta listen to some of his lectures, like because it's nothing like the Freudian psychology, you know, but it,
have you read
it's
into Freud?
I haven't even read because I've never really I both like psychology and can't stand psychology because like I think that a lot of the people that are into like therapy, and I've been to a lot of therapists, dude,
Yeah,
and there's been two that I've connected with.
right.
Let's say out of 10 total, there's been two. And most of the therapists that I know are just batshit crazy. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I used to work at a mental health program for like a year, but I left because like I'm like, you're not here to help anybody. You're here just to collect money. You're a nonprofit that's just making money
Right.
off of sick people, you know. But
Right.
there was a therapist and she was into yoga
Yeah.
and she's talking to a dude that he's schizophrenic. And he pretty much stayed in that mode like the whole time like I knew him. There were sometimes there were moments of like some clarity, but then he would go right back into it where he was, you know, the government's controlling us by the telephone wires and stuff, that type of stuff.
That's not true.
Dude, he may be on to something, man.
Go ahead, come on,
Um,
man.
but she was telling him how when you practice yoga enough, you can teach yourself to levitate. And I'm like, why the fuck are you saying this to him? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you take it the wrong way since
yeah,
you
like
yoga.
whether that's true or not, and I personally don't. I mean that people can definitely do some amazing things with their body, like when they have that
Sure.
mastery of it. But levitation, like I don't know about that one, man. You know what I mean? Like breaking the laws of physics. Um,
It
and
depends who you're talking to. I've had friends that are schizophrenic, and obviously you could already tell I'm kind of out there. But I realized when I spoke to them, I need to be very grounded.
yes,
You know what I'm saying? Because they need that yin and yang. You know what I'm saying? We're meeting together, like they need that. Because maybe if I'm talking to someone that's like, I don't know, 9 to 5, stuck in the matrix, I go to them and speak to them on this. It's refreshing, it's new, it's a great conversation. So it's a time and a place. I could see where she
yeah.
made the mistake. I mean, like maybe is she new to therapy? Like,
No, 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 no. She'd been doing it for I don't know, like 10 years or so.
Oh shit. Okay. Then maybe I don't know. Maybe she's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Telling people to
Yeah.
levitate.
Yeah.
No, I know where you're coming from though. Exactly. Like I agree with you on that. But go
Yeah.
ahead. Sorry.
Um, but like people need to learn like psychology just like every oh yeah. Sorry. I remember where I was going. So again, like the Rockefellers, they this is the way I heard it. If it's true or not, I don't know. I think I might have like listened to someone explaining it on a video on social media, which I take with a grain of salt. But so Rockefeller wanted to patent cannabis and different other healing plants. And when he was told that you can't patent a naturally growing plant, he realized that oil derivatives can act as a combining compound, and he can create pharmaceuticals.
Mhm.
So a lot of the pharmaceuticals that we have, like all those compounds that like combine everything together, are just the toxic sludge that comes off of like refining oil.
Yeah.
And and uh and so he started dumping tons of money into universities, giving them these major endowments and grants and stuff, like multi-millions of dollars. And on the side, he was also creating psychology textbooks. And so he would go up to a college and be like, $30 million, it's yours. Do what you want with it. However, you have to teach your psychology course by using my textbooks.
Mhm.
Right. And it was all about diagnose and then medicate. Right. And like one of the books I got, that's my bookshelf compared to yours. I'm building it though. Um, called The Body Keeps a Score. This dude, I forget his first name, but his last name is Vanderkolk. He helped write the DSM manual, that diagnostic and statistical manual that they use to diagnose people. And in the third edition, they wrote a preface in there that said, "This manual is not to be used for diagnostic purposes."
Wow.
He explained that it's like these are patterns where if you see these patterns in somebody, maybe they have depression. Maybe they're schizophrenic. Maybe they're bipolar. But because we're all different, it might not be. You know what I mean? And now that has become a multi-billion-dollar a year
Yeah.
industry because every time they come out with a new edition of the DSM manual, every college, like every school out there, every lawyer, every judge, every courthouse, they all have to order it, right? And they're like, whatever, $200 like for the manual, right? So it's become its own money-making thing, and we use it now to diagnose people.
Keith, I love you brought that up. And I say this all the time just to trigger people. Maybe this is the disruptor in me, but this is why I say mental illness doesn't exist. I've definitely suffered from it. I've suffered from it. That's just the trigger people. That's a clip right there. But
Yeah.
like, no, like, no, it just, I mean, because I remember learning about the DSM, and I remember, for example, at the time, they want to put uh pornography addiction in the DSM. And people were like, fuck no, we're not putting that in there. And then I'm like, why wouldn't they put that in there? And then I realized in school, well, insurance wouldn't pay for it because insurance companies are like, you're going to want us to put money into people that can't stop jacking off. Video games was in there. You want us to put money in there to stop playing video games. And in my head, I'm like, no, this is actually an addiction. This is actually an illness. I've seen both. I've seen both of those illnesses in other people. Like, I don't need to be a doctor to know this. I'm seeing it happen in front of me. And then, and obviously they don't file, they don't go through the DSM if you don't have 3 out of 5. But I'm like, this is why I'm saying it's a scam, just to trigger people. But like, you didn't go into my body and be like, this chemical, you have this chemical imbalance. This is the proof. We could show it to you right here. We did these tests. You can't just say 3 out of the 5. Like for schizophrenia, for example, I actually went through that. I'm like, oh my God, am I schizophrenic? Like one of them is leaving, like going on random trips. I'm like, oh my God, I remember this one trip. My friend asked me a week before. I just went to Boston. And everyone's like, where the fuck are you? "Oh, I went to Boston." My friend asked me a month ago, a month in advance, hey, you want to go to Mexico? Oh yeah, I just went on a whim. I'm like, oh shit, do I have that? And then I was like going down the list. I'm like, I think as a joke, I'm like, I think I got schizophrenia, guys. They're like, no, man, Enli, shut the fuck. I'm like, I don't know. I meet the standards. I must
Yeah.
be, right? I mean, this all makes sense. Like, I swear. But like, yeah, that's so true. It's like they're not giving real proof. Like you're not giving me like with the flu, I could see my temperature. I could check other things in my blood. This is real stuff. Well, what about mental illness? And trust me, like again, I was just saying that for a clip, right? But like it absolutely does exist. I've suffered it. I've seen other people suffer from it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the DSM, I understand not everything's perfect in medicine, but a lot of this just seems like money. Like you brought up and I brought up insurance. You're not doing this to help people. You're doing this for your pockets, and it's
Yeah.
not cool.
And dude, look at I know for me, the help that I've gotten from plant medicine
Yes.
so far surpassed. I mean, dude,
Oh
my
my God.
anger, I started getting my anger under control when I started smoking weed, right? So
Oh
Phil
my God. I tell
Lombardo,
people this all the time. Same with me. One of the only reasons, actually, second reason, first one was sleep. But you could say that's because I'm too angry to go to sleep. But yeah, I'm sorry, I
yeah.
interrupted you. I'm just so happy you brought that up. I had a
Oh
conversation.
yeah, yeah, dude, yeah. Like I would go outside like in my garage because I'm not allowed to smoke in my house because my wife hates the smell. But I am the man of my garage. Like no one tells me what to do when I'm out there, dude. Um, yeah, and dude, I would watch like America's Got Talent and I'd be
Yeah.
smoking. And dude, I remember like there was this kid, he was a 16-year-old kid, and he taught himself how to do like aerial dancing thing, like where he would go up like 20 feet on this ring and spin around like 100 freaking miles an hour. And I'd be crying. I'd be like, it's so beautiful. He did this himself in his backyard, man. Like, it's so beautiful, right? But like Phil Lombardo did this whole study on time, and he wrote this book called The Time Paradox.
Okay.
And 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 there's this little blurb in there about how cannabis makes us introspective, right? So
Oh,
psychology tells us meditation, yoga, like those things, it makes us introspective so we can connect with the internal world. Fucking so does cannabis.
yes.
Now, if
Yes.
you're just smoking, like, I just want to get lit, it's not going to do anything for you. You know, you'll hit your goal. You're going to get high, you know, but that's going to be it. But like I used it to start connecting myself with gratitude and practicing that. And without working on my anger, dude, it just went, the scales just shifted. You know, like to the first time, like me and my wife had an argument after I was doing this for a while, and I was so calm. I was so calm. I was so compassionate. And she was like, what are you doing to me? Like you're messing with me. And I'm like, no, no, I'm not. Like, and she almost like she started flipping out on me, like because it was so off of my normal response to an argument. You know what I mean? And then meeting other people, learning about ayahuasca, learning about other plant medicines and stuff. And I haven't done that yet, you know. But then having this chance to go out and meet Jarrett and do the what dude the Wachuma ceremony. Oh my God, dude, I didn't feel anything, but I connected so deep that it opened up stuff like things that I thought were the reasons why I do things like, you know, like they like Wachuma has the spirit of the grandfather, and the grandfather would be like, bullshit, dude, go dig deeper. You know, so I'd go deep and I'm like, oh my God, dude, I'm afraid to be seen, you know, like, and then the DMT experience where I realized that I'm projecting this false sense of reality onto this curtain that I created, where all I got to do is just peel back the curtain and then there it really is, you know, and seeing that as I'm the creator of my own fear, I gave all the power over to that fear where I was subject to it, where in reality, the fear is subject to me.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It'd be like if we actually could kill God. God created us, and then I could just go up there and like sneak up behind him, and like stick a knife in his throat or something like that. Like that's possible. God's the creator. He knows all things. So it's just not going to happen. So I mean, but the propaganda they spread on plant medicine, and now the research that's coming out that shows the absolute fucking benefits of this stuff, is incredible. But there's not money to be made in that. Yeah, yeah, they're gonna figure out how before they legalize this shit.
Right. And they're gonna ruin it.
Yeah,
Like, yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. I like how you brought up like people try to get lit with this stuff because I try to talk about cannabis to people and they just like, oh, here's another stoner. And I guess I kind of look like one, right, with long hair and stuff, but like they're like, no, you don't understand. Like some people are like, yeah, don't you hate how it makes you anxious and like it makes you like look at yourself. I'm like, yes, yes, yeah, keep on talking. And they're like, no, no, that's not a good thing. Emily, that's not. I'm like, no, yes, it is. That's where I find answers. I'm not gonna say I use it when I'm in a bad state of mind. Like I try to get in a good state of mind, but if I am in a bad state of mind, I'm like, okay, I gotta face up to it. I gotta be brave right now. I gotta be courageous. Like I found so many answers. Like I've had because I'm around a bunch of people closed-minded and stuff. They're like, you can't be doing that and stuff. And I'm like, I wouldn't be the man I am today. And I'm very high functioning with it. I've taken breaks off of it. I'm like, am I gaslighting myself? I've taken breaks. I'm like, no, I actually think I'm better with it. But it's obviously what you're saying because it's a medicine. I'm healing and it's great for anger.
yeah, yeah.
You can't be angry on it. I could have a gun to my head. You know what I'm saying? And after consuming it, I'm like, it's okay. This is how life is
Yeah, I'm
supposed
like,
to
yeah, do what you
be.
gotta do. I'm here for you, man.
Thanks.
You do what you gotta do. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah,
I,
it's fucking awesome.
I hate the stereotype around cannabis. Another one I hate too is like it makes you lazy. Bro, I just start working. Like I don't understand. Like I built my business on this. I get in this crazy flow state. What are you talking about? You know what that means? You're a lazy person. That's what it means. Because it just makes you sensitive. If you're a lazy person, you become lazier with it. If you're hard working, you become harder working with it. Hell, if you go to average fast food restaurant or anywhere in a warehouse, everybody's high. Everyone's
Yeah,
smoking those pens. They're all
yeah,
working their asses off.
yeah,
I
dude. It's how I start my day, man. Before I work, I go out, I pack up some a nice Tiva, smoke
yeah,
that, and then I come in and I am locked in for hours, dude. And it's not like it'll start wearing off. I'm like, okay, I need more. I need more. I
yeah,
need
yeah.
more. Like, because once I'm locked in, I'm locked in,
Right.
you know? But dude, I hate to do this, man, but I gotta jump off so I can make that appointment. But we
Now you're
gotta
good.
keep this thing going, man.
No, we're gonna do a couple more because obviously I want to ask you some more things. Like obviously on Canvas, that could be a whole podcast in itself and your
Oh yeah.
biz in general. Like I got so many people. How this could be the last thing. I got so many people that tell me how bad it is for my mind and everything. We could do a podcast just on your business and be like, look, he's helping veterans with PTSD. They've seen the worst
Yeah.
things in the world. Don't tell me this shit's bad. I got someone right here giving people results, helping people out with this. So stop saying that, okay?
And dude,
Because if it can help them, it can help me.
and
Okay?
and that's like my tagline is I am a stoner spirited life coach.
I love
Because
it.
like when I looked into the stoner lifestyle, like it's like I read this thing called the pop book, right? And it said like, like cocaine is the drug of capitalism. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yes,
why all
yes.
the Wall Street people do it. Like whatever I have, that's mine, and I always need more. All right. And cannabis, you can have like a joint like that's like that big left, and there's five people around. It's like we're all getting some of this, dude. Like whatever I have is enough for everybody, not just for me, but for everybody. And I love that, dude.
So true.
Yeah.
Yo, hey, if we do have another podcast, it should just be about cannabis, honestly. And you can
Dude,
put in
let's
your
do it,
plug and
man.
everything. You
Yeah.
know,
I'm gonna look up like a whole bunch of notes and stuff from that pot because whenever I read, like I just write like notes like crazy. So I'll have stuff like on the history of it, like the prohibition of it, like all of it, like what it does for us. Yeah.
yeah, we're definitely doing this again.
All right, dude.
I
So
can't wait.
yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, I'm gonna stop recording. See how this works now when we stop
Oh
recording.
yeah, we might as well. Yeah, yeah.